So you clicked on this video because you want more emotional intimacy in your relationship. You're feeling a little bit distant probably and want to figure out how to reconnect. And it's a painful place to be in because you probably love your partner dearly, you're committed to the relationship. Obviously, you're committed to relationship health, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And maybe you look back and you crave those old conversations that seemed much more meaningful. You felt closer, you felt more connected, you felt more like a team. You laughed a lot more. If you've heard the term roommate syndrome, you know exactly what that is because you feel more like roommates than romantic partners. You're really good at logistics and your friendship is probably fine. But what about that closeness, that real security of you are my primary attachment figure, you're my person, you're my live or die, right? Welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're here. My name is Laura Silverstein. I'm author of Love is an Action Verb. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I have helped thousands of couples feel happier and healthier in their relationships. So the love is already there. It's not that the love is lacking, it's why isn't the love connected? And the glue, the only thing that keeps that closeness is emotional intimacy. It's a crucial part of any long-term relationship. It's what helps relationships stay together for a lifetime. When intimacy is high in a relationship, then there's a buffer that helps you manage tough times together, fun times together, neutral, boring times together, because you just feel like you're less alone in the world. You feel known, you feel seen, your partner feels known and seen, and that's how the two of you work together. You're not just getting tasks done. You feel like you're with somebody who cares about you while you're doing that. So if you have a little miscommunication, it's with somebody that you already feel close to. And so when you have that cushion, everything feels more manageable. You won't hear me say this when I'm talking about communication skills. You can watch all my communication skills. They're going to be a lot shorter than today's video. It's just like, do this or say this. Emotional intimacy is not a communication skill. It comes from vulnerability. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. There's no shortcut. There's no way to get from here to there without being vulnerable with each other. And it's very, very normal for that emotional intimacy to fade over time. It happened to my husband and I can talk about that in depth in a different video if you would find it helpful. But we are both couples therapists, so we know the communication skills. That's not the issue. For us, it was when our kids were little. That was when we had the hardest time. And some of our emotional intimacy shifted, and we were just like working really hard and we were grinding it out, and we forgot to do the very thing that we were encouraging our couples to do every single day. So you're not alone. I'm not alone. You know, we are all in this together. Relationships are hard. But the takeaway here is that it's normal. It's normal for a relationship to ebb and flow. But you can't just ignore it. If there's a decline in intimacy, it really is something to take seriously, and there's concrete steps that you can take to turn the ship around. So the best way forward is just to think about it like you put the pot to the back burner, you're making a sauce, you're stirring it, and now it just needs to simmer for a couple of hours. So you have this security of like, oh, it's fine. I'm going to put it to the back burner, which probably was a good decision because maybe there was a fire on the front and you had to do things that were more important. But the issue is pulling that back burner forward again, stirring it, seasoning it, giving it what it needs to make sure that you're not taking it for granted. You just want to make sure you're not ignoring it altogether. It doesn't need a lot, but you do need to remember that it's there and keep taking care of it. And the best thing about this is that for couples that have been together for a while, not only can you get that emotional intimacy back, but the good news is that you actually are probably going to feel even closer than you initially did, because you have layer upon layer of shared experiences and even deeper depth that comes when you follow the advice of this video. In this video, I am going to go super deep. It's all about vulnerability. You'll hear me say that word vulnerability a lot. Vulnerability, humility, authenticity, all those words that end in Y. Guess what? Intimacy also ends in a Y. The only way that you can achieve the emotional intimacy that you are craving is through vulnerability. But I'm going to walk you through how to actually do that. I'm not just going to keep saying vulnerability till I'm blue in the face. I'm going to get really nitty gritty and tell you what to actually do that you can start doing at the end of this video today to build emotional intimacy. But before we do that, I want to talk about the what and the how. So what actually is emotional intimacy and how does it fade in the first place? So what even is emotional intimacy? It's more than holding hands at a movie theater. It's more than talking about your day or finding out what time soccer practice was or liking the same kind of music. It's feeling safe with someone else in the presence of another human being. A feeling that they'll take care of you and you'll take care of them, which is why vulnerability and intimacy tend to go hand in hand with commitment. Because once you have that deeper level sense of like, I'm your person, that's how we feel safe. Because all different things are going to happen and we've got somebody who's taking care of us, we're taking care of them. It's about trusting each other, trusting that they're going to catch you if you fall, trusting that they have your best interest at heart. Okay, so that's where it's not just a skill, it's a bit of a trust fall, an emotional trust fall. So that's what actually makes love last. Because when intimacy is strong, the relationship as a whole becomes stronger. Knowing that you're liked and loved, and then you have a fight about something normal, which, by the way, 100% of couples have conflict. So a lot of couples talk to me about the connection between emotional intimacy and physical intimacy. The third one people don't talk as much about is intellectual intimacy. And we know for a fact, there was a study in 2018 that showed that people had much more desire in long-term relationships. The short-term relationships is a whole nother topic I'll talk to you about another day. But yes, they are connected. But it doesn't work to be like, oh, I want physical intimacy, so I'm going to share my feelings. It's about really wanting to be known and share each other in all those three different ways. Again, I'm using that word again, that authentic leaning into, I want to know who you are and I want to share who I am with you. My feelings, physical touch, and my unique ideas. 3 kinds of intimacy. Okay, so let's switch gears to the next question, which is, how does it fade? If emotional intimacy is the glue that holds relationships together, then why is it so common for it to fade? Why is it that loving couples who are highly committed to each other and loyal, why is it that their emotional intimacy fades? Well, it's because of life. It's because of busy schedules and the world having all these expectations of you that you're feeling like you can't meet. And so I don't want to say that you take your relationship for granted, because it's rarely that you take them for granted. It's just day by day that, yes, you kind of have a sense they're there, but there's all this stuff and it feels like later, like next weekend or next month, we'll really connect. And then when that happens slowly, then there's this steady, slow, invisible decline of relationship health and intimacy, because you guys just are moving fast, you're solving problems together, you're making decisions, you're conquering the world's problems, you're building empires together, but you haven't really had a real conversation about what's going on in your life, what kind of book you're reading, or anything like that. Okay, so that's why it's so normal. And I actually don't recommend that you spend a lot of time on figuring out, why is our relationship fading? Why are we not as close as we used to be? That can cause more problems, to be like picking at the sky. Why? Why are we having so many troubles? And what I would say is it's normal. It's normal. I see it all the time. If you realize this is normal, then you're going to have a lot more energy and motivation to put into trying to fix it and make it better. If you're focused on the why is this happening, you're more likely to be finding problems, and then you might feel hopeless instead of, oh, let me just try this and see if it works, right? Let me do the homework that Laura's suggesting in this video. Maybe it will help. And if you follow my advice the way I'm saying it, it's not going to hurt anybody, and it can only help. So try not to focus too much on how do we get here. Much more important is, what are we going to do differently today and tomorrow so that both of us can feel a little bit more like a priority in the other person's life. Because that loneliness is the thing that causes the disconnection. And then when the disconnection happens, we start to think we're not as important to the other person as we thought we were, blah, 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 negative spiral. All right, let's not do the negative spiral. Let's get to action, okay? So the ultimate paradox is that the reason we're not automatically vulnerable with people everywhere we go is because it's risky and because that armor is on for a reason, because it gives us safety. It's like a seatbelt that protects us. So armor is good and taking care of ourselves is good. And the paradox is that it's actually more psychologically damaging not to have emotional closeness with other human beings in your life than it is to take those risks of sharing your feelings. And this is going to depend a lot on your family of origin and some of the experiences that have happened in the past. So I know this makes sense to you intellectually, but I'm really kind of asking you to go against the grain when I talk about practicing vulnerability. Okay? So far we've talked about what is emotional intimacy. We've talked about how does emotional intimacy fade over time, even in a healthy relationship. And now we're going to talk about what to actually do. Okay? According to Brene Brown, vulnerability requires having the courage to show up and be seen when you can't control the outcome. It's not a weakness, it's the ultimate measure of courage. Okay, so now I'm going to be giving you 3 action steps to build emotional intimacy. Number 1 is be vulnerable by sharing a minor feeling. Don't start with a deep dive. All you have to do is be a tiny little bit more vulnerable than you were yesterday. So 10 to 15% more vulnerable would be something like, instead of saying that you're fine, when your partner asks you how you're doing, you might say, I'm feeling a little stressed out. That's it. So your homework is to say one true feeling to your partner before you go to bed tonight. Here are some ideas. I miss you. I would really, really love to go on a date with you. I made a mistake and I'm feeling sort of embarrassed about it. So something like that, anything small, but whatever you're doing, if that doesn't feel a tiny little bit risky for you, do something that feels a little bit risky. The other thing you can do is share this video with your partner so that they know what you're doing. And when you start following some of these homework exercises, they're going to be knowing where you're coming from and be on board with the same goal. That's how emotional vulnerability works. Okay? So just choose one thing to say. Homework assignment number 2, ask a question to your partner that has nothing to do with logistics. You don't have to ask them about their emotions. You don't have to ask them about a trauma in their life, but ask them something that isn't about a to-do list or something new that you haven't heard them talk about. So it could be something like, what have you been reading lately? What are your thoughts about what's going on in the news? It could be, how is everything going with your sister? What's happened with that situation at work last week? How is your presentation? Something like that. Anything at all that is about your partner's world and not about asking them to do something or for just problem solving kinds of questions. Okay? That's homework assignment number 2. Number 3, your third homework assignment is to listen more deeply. Just listen a little bit more deeply. So if you're cooking dinner and your partner comes in and they start talking to you about something, just connect a little bit more to what they're saying. So as you're doing whatever you're doing and your partner starts talking about what's ever on their mind, just pay attention to, like, is your energy in the content of what they're saying, or are you reminding yourself what you need to tell them as well? And the good part about this is it's not just one way, because what you'll notice is as you both set up a precedent in your relationship where you're listening to each other like that, it feels easier and both people tend to offer it more because it just becomes the new norm. Okay? So number 1 is share a small feeling. Number 2, ask a question you don't know the answer to. And number 3 is to listen a little more deeply. So that's where we are going to start. And we're all in this together. Everybody else who's watching this video is doing the same thing you are to make sure that we just have somebody in our life that we feel a little bit closer to, because it stinks to feel alone with everything that you've got going on. And if it starts to slide, now you know what to do to get that emotional intimacy back. If you'd like more action-oriented relationship advice, you might want to check out the fastest relationship course in the world or something like that. Let's see, what is it? It's 11 minutes and 45 seconds where I tell you everything to do to have a happy, healthy relationship. So go ahead and take a look at that. And congratulations to you for being so committed to self-growth that you watched this entire video and you made it till the end. So again, please click the like button if you find this helpful, and I look forward to hearing what your comments are.